Yeah, go ahead and let us know what you're looking at.
Sure. Square. I think hopefully most folks have heard of Square, but if not, we're gonna do a little bit of dive on what they do and why I think they still have they've had a tremendous run, but I think there's a tremendous amount of growth still left for Square. So Square is focused on two significant ecosystems. So this one on the left, the seller ecosystem, is where they got started. They had a little, I think they call it a dongle or square-shaped device that stuck in the auxiliary jack of your mobile device and allowed people, sellers at flea markets, small businesses and whatever, to take payments. And I talked to my wife's brother who runs a gaming company and board games. And he said that it was literally life changing for him because, the old machines where you had to I'm sure a lot of our listeners probably don't even know what I'm talking about. There were these trifold or three levers there was a couple pieces of paper and they'd put your credit card down and crunch over it and the number would come up. The number is raised and it would come up, pressed through onto the paper. And then you'd get this really lousy copy, and then people would have to, enter that stuff in some backroom computer somewhere. It probably FIS was managing the transactions way back then, but it changed it so they could immediately take payments and not have to have all these pieces of paper to enter. And it would immediately not only my wife's brother Kurt said he'd get home sometimes, and some of these numbers weren't valid anymore, and he couldn't collect the payment from the customers. So it just made his business so much easier. And they've expanded this system. So you look at, they have customer engagement tools, payroll, invoices, appointments. They're even getting into the restaurant space where they're allowing, they have systems to, take your orders in the restaurant, and that it's easily flexible and managed and all that kind of stuff. So a seller ecosystem around taking payments and managing small business. And recently, over the last couple of years, they've built this Cash App, which started sort of as a person-to-person payment, but also credit cards, direct deposit. You can now buy stocks as well as Bitcoin. So I kind of show you what these businesses have done over the past few years. This is a gross profit look at it. And the reason, usually I'm used to looking at revenue, but because of the way Square manages their Bitcoin, they actually buy Bitcoin at market values and then sell it to their customers through the Bitcoin app. And since they own it as an asset, that sale ends up being revenue. And so last quarter, they sold over 1.6 billion worth in Bitcoin over their Cash App platform. So that, and it's a very small gross profit. Over that 1.6 billion, I think they made 32 million. So it's a small gross profit, but it gets customers into their Cash App who want to transact with Bitcoin. So rather than have the fluctuation of this crazy Bitcoin number on the revenue top line, typically we look at gross profit. And I think this is a good way to manage this or look at this business as investors. And you can see this green piece is this Cash App has dramatically almost 10x in gross profit from 2017 to 2019. And we'll look at some 2020 numbers here shortly. The other piece is the addressable market for these two businesses is just tremendous. For sellers, it's 100 billion, and they're less than 3% penetrated, and for the Cash App business, they're less than 2% penetrated. So just a massive business still left to go. And kind of why I'm excited about the business is, here's the last few quarters. You can see Q3 2019. This is the Cash App metrics. And again, looking at gross profit, and you can see the gross profit over the past 5 quarters more than tripled. And you can see the revenue, 104, 115, it's accelerating. The revenue growth is accelerating with the Cash App. Now that's going to make, I know, Matt, you talked about difficult comps in the upcoming year, but they have a balanced business here. The seller ecosystem at once was 364 million in gross profit, which was 75% of the gross profit here. Now it's almost about equal. The gross profit this most recent quarter for the seller ecosystem is just about 57%. Now it's been a little bit, you can see the gross profit growth for the seller ecosystem is quite impacted by the coronavirus. In Q3, it slowed down. It actually went negative in Q2, and it bumped up a little bit in Q3. I expect that as businesses get on their feet, and Square has also done a considerable amount of, they've done some product development to allow curbside pickup and online ordering, and many of their customers have adopted their e-commerce solution. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know that Square actually offers a Shopify kind of type e-commerce product that allows brick and mortar stores to get online. And I suspect this business is going to pick up quite a bit in the coming year, even if the Cash App, this Cash App growth is going to be tough to match. But the seller ecosystem is incredibly strong, and they have an incredibly deep product set. Now, I want to show one more chart. Just a little bit about the product set that they have.
Yeah, the online store, I think, came from their acquisition of Weebly.
Yes.
Not to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I could. Yeah. And you can kind of see here across the ecosystem, managed payments, point of sale, terminals, services for, software for setting up appointments, retail, and then on the financial services. So a wide array of function, as well as, innovation going on across the business to continue to grow. So that's why I'm excited about Square.
So I don't know if you knew, but in February, we had Jim McKelvey, the co-founder of Square, on the Industry Focus show. That was actually I mentioned that on our 11 o'clock show. That was actually the last thing I did before coronavirus hit. So really interesting story of how that he was an old friend of Jack Dorsey. They had been looking for something to do. And Jim McKelvey, I'll put this link in the chat in a second. He was a glass blower, and he was an artist. And someone came into the store and wanted to buy this really expensive piece without their husband knowing. But she only had an American Express card, and he wasn't set up to take that. He said, but if you have a Visa, I could take Visa. And she said, no, my husband checks the Visa. I have to do American Express. So he lost a big sale. And that kind of he said there has to be a better way for small businesses to accept credit cards. So he whittled that, the original little Square card reader out of a piece of plastic. He actually ended up winning a MoMA award, a Museum of Modern Art award for that, which he found really ironic because, decades as an artist and glassblower, and he wins for a little piece of plastic. But yeah, I've been a fan of Square for a long time. Like I told you before the show, I've been a shareholder since the very beginning. I think I bought it like 3 days after their IPO. So it's been quite a ride.
Yes. Yeah, it's been fantastic. I think I bought it at the end of 2017 when it had doubled that year, but I'm still, it's my third or fourth largest position at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I when I bought it, I think it was one of my smallest positions, and now it's, I think, the largest in my portfolio.
Oh wow!
I bought it when it was when it was about $11 a share. Before it was cool to be a fan of Square, when it was just kind of like a little niche, like the little card reader in your plumber's cell phone. That's what people thought of it at the time.